Hey everybody, welcome back to Jamia's Promo, and today we will be unboxing, setting up, transferring from the Google Pixel 5 over to the brand new Google Pixel 5a. So we'll take a look at everything inside of the box. We'll also take a look at how easy it is transferring eSIM from Google Fi to Google Fi, and we'll also take a look at all of the specs, everything that this $449 phone offers, and then the exact differences between the two phones. So this way you can take a look at which one is best for you. So first off, let's get this thing unboxed and let's take a look at everything inside. But before we unbox everything, I do want to give a big thank you to Google for sending this phone out, for adding me to Team Pixel. Even though I'm a big Samsung guy, they took a trust and belief in me that I could play with their phones, enjoy them, and I do, because I do use the Google Pixel devices with Google Fi as my additional phone. So now let's take a look at everything the Google Pixel 5a gives you at a staggering price of only $449. Again, that's only $450, and you're getting a phone that has amazing cameras, a really good display. This display is at 6.34 inches with a 20:9 aspect ratio with full HD plus OLED display, has HDR support. It also has always on display. It weighs 183 grams. It has a huge battery at 4,680 milliamp hour battery. It has 6 gigs of RAM, 128 gigs of internal storage. It has Snapdragon 765G, and it has 18 watts for charging. The color comes in only one color, which is called mostly black. It has stereo speakers. And then now for the cameras on the back as well as the front. The cameras on the back, it basically is the exact same setup as the previous generations. So you'll be getting that 12.2 megapixel dual pixel 77-degree field of view camera, a 16 megapixel ultra wide with 118.7 degree field of view. And then flipping it to the front, you are equipped with an 8 megapixel fixed 83-degree field of view, and you can shoot videos on the back at 1080p in 30, 60, 120, and 240 frames per second. And you can also shoot 4K in 30 frames per second as well as 60 frames per second. So that was a pretty big, massive spec dump of everything that the Google Pixel 5a offers you, and you might be wondering, okay, what are the key differences between the 5 and the 5a? Maybe I own the 5, curious if I should get the 5a, or maybe you don't own either of these two phones, you're trying to decide which one is best for you. So really the first thing you might be taking a look at is the price. So at launch, the Google Pixel 5 was $699, and the Google Pixel 5a is $449. So it's a pretty big difference between $700 and $450. Now you had two color options with the 5, you only have one color option here. Now when it comes down to the size, this is another big difference. So it's going to be basically price, size, as well as battery. So the size is going from 6 inches up to 6.3. This one did have, the Google Pixel 5 had 90 hertz refresh rate. It also had wireless charging and battery share. This is one thing that the Google Pixel 5a does not have. And then also the Google Pixel 5 was equipped with 8 gigs of RAM. The 5a is equipped with 6. So you're losing the wireless charging and you're losing 2 gigs of RAM. And that's really pretty much about it. You have the exact same camera setup. The 5a is going to be cheaper. You have a larger screen and then a much larger battery. So the Pixel 5 had 4,080 milliamp hour battery, where the 5a is 4,680 milliamp hour battery. So you're gaining 600 milliamp hours, which is going to be a pretty big deal. Now they both really have pretty much the exact same display, the same resolution almost. They're super identical. You also have the exact same cameras, mostly on the front and the back. It has the same chips. I mean, it's really almost the same phone. Just depends if you want to pay a little less for something larger that gives you better battery life, but you'll only be losing 2 gigs of RAM, and then you will be losing your wireless charging. So that's pretty much everything that I had. And I mean, I thought it was really cool and really easy for me to switch from the 5 to the 5a, not only just transferring all of the applications through the cable, but also transferring my Google Fi service. So, you know, when you use eSIM, it just makes things super, super easy. I love the fact that the 5a 5A is thicker, because sometimes if I try to use the 5 without a case, it was just way too thin, way too light, way too small, and I felt like I was going to drop it several times a day, so I always had a case sitting on it. The only thing that I'll have to get used to is when you take a look at it, the power button and the volume is going to be in different locations. Now, I mean, if they're all the way up at the very top, they're pretty much almost at the same spot. But again, from the very bottom, the locations of power and volume has changed, so you just have to kind of get used to that. But basically the bottom is going to almost pretty much look the exact same, but you do gain that headphone jack on the 5A if that is still something that you're looking to use. So now let's take a look at everything inside of the box. And so on the very top will be the Google Pixel 5A, which only comes in one color, which is called mostly black. The camera setup is really pretty much the same as the past devices. You will be getting a larger screen and larger battery. Now underneath that is going to be your SIM card popper. Now for me, I use Google Fi, so we'll be switching everything via just eSIM. So here's your 18-watt charging brick. And then right beside that, above it, is going to be an adapter that you'd be able to plug in. You know, you can put it into the bottom of your phone, which is USB Type-C. The other end is going to be USB-A. And then around that little spindle will be your charging cable, transferring cable. So this one is Type-C to Type-C. So this is the part of the video that I thought was actually pretty amazing. So this is where I'm able to not only transfer all of my data, all of my content, the applications, messages, things like that, but I'm able to transfer over my details from Google Fi from the old Pixel 5 to the Pixel 5A. So you're able to choose which network you're transferring your eSIM from. So at the same time, when you plug in your phones with the provided Type-C cable that you can use for charging and data transfer, things like that, all you'd have to do is just plug in the 5A into the 5, and this way you'd be able to not only transfer the eSIM information, your Gmails, but as well as all the applications, pictures, messages, things like that. So this process did not take very long, and it was super easy that anybody is able to do simply with plugging in the one cable. So this is where I just wanted to ensure that Google Fi was actually there. So you can see there on the very top of the notifications panel, it does say Google Fi, but I still went into the settings. I went inside of the network, and then inside of there, I was connected to Wi-Fi there, but you can also see underneath mobile networks, it says Google Fi. But that is it for today's video. That is kind of my review, and really my review of this is that I do love the 5A much more than the 5, and it's really mostly just because of the size, but because, you know, the cameras are really identical, the processor is basically identical, the screen resolution at the Full HD Plus is also pretty much identical. Even though I'm losing wireless charging and losing a little bit of RAM, it's really not that bad because I don't always use wireless charging with this device. It kind of feels like it's a little too slow anyways. And then with the losing of the RAMs, I'd have to say that this phone is smooth, it's quick, it's pretty nice, and it has a good user interface, so you're not really gonna miss too much with 2 gigs of RAM when it comes to this device, except for maybe a little bit of gaming, but I don't really play hard games with this. I mean, that's kind of what my Nintendo Switch is for, and Xbox and things like that. But hope you guys enjoyed the video. Hopefully you appreciated it. Hopefully you ran off with something with this. You learned something from this video, and if you guys did, please give it a big thumbs up. Also, don't forget to hit subscribe on the very bottom left hand side, and if you like this video, then more than likely you'll also like this video. And I'll see you guys later.